Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. It is part 3 of Lucky and Liz, right? Yeah, part 3 of Lucky and Liz, part 6 of Lucky. Okay, I think so. And we're not giving the dates, so we've said that we're using Curly Q Girl as our resource because she has amazing write-ups for Lucky and then has an entire section of Lucky and Liz. We are going to have to try to figure out when Lucky starts to have his own story again. So I feel like I kind of know where it might be, but I don't know. We'll see. So the dates for the write-up of this section that we've been doing has been from February 25th through June 29th. So last week's episode, which was the 2nd of Lucky and Liz, 5th of Lucky, that was between those dates. So obviously, the further along we get, the closer to the end of June. Sorry, did I say January? It was June.
You said
February
June,
20th. Okay. I don't know.
I don't know either. Sorry.
February 25th to June 29th, 1998. So that's kind of the block of time that we're in. I'm thinking that we're probably in March right now just because the rape just happened.
Right.
Oh, yeah, because it was the beginning of March is when Lucky found out about Luke. So, yeah, we're definitely in March. And last week's episode ended with Lucky at the bus station wanting to get out of town and then changed his mind and left. And this was after he had found out that Luke raped Laura and he said he was leaving. So goes to the bus station, tries to get a ticket and then changes his mind and leaves. And we pick up this week where we next see him at Lizzie's door. Isn't only Audrey and Sarah called her Lizzie, right?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, he waves at her through the window rather than knock and disturb the household. If he's at the door, I mean, he took a good chance that she would just be sitting in a position to be able to see.
Yeah.
Because if her bedroom's upstairs, whatever. So she comes out onto the stoop to talk to him. He tells her he's leaving town, but he doesn't know where he'll wind up. She asks him to let her help, to tell her what's going on. She says that she's been raped, so what can you tell me that's worse than that? He says, not much, you'd be surprised. She tells him that she wants to be there for him, as he was there for her during her worst times. When he never flinched, never looked away, you were solid, you were someone I could depend on, someone I could trust. Oh, why didn't I find this? I want to be the same for you. I can be. You just have to let me. Lucky does tell her, this is why I had such a...
This is why we had unrealistic expectations of relationships, especially as teenagers. No boy ever looked at us and said this.
Yeah. But we also didn't have to go through this stuff, so...
True.
Lucky does let her, telling her what he had wanted most was the name of the guy who raped Liz. Well, I got a consolation prize, the name of the guy who raped my mom. Liz is puzzled since she thought they already knew that it was Stavros. My dad, he says. Liz begins clearly flustered, just saying, oh. Lucky pushes her to finish her thought. What? How sick? How sickening? What? And she quietly answers, how sad for you. They talk a bit more, and Liz asks a favor of Lucky to not leave town. He doesn't. She suggests he go to North Carolina to see his mother, but he will have none of it. Liz then invites him to move into her place, suggesting she could hide him from her grandmother. She coaxes him inside, assuring him that no one is home, but he doesn't plan to stay long. After they move inside, we see Luke at the door. Luke has come to see Liz, unaware that Lucky is already there. He tells Elizabeth that he expects she will hear from Lucky soon and that Lucky really needs a friend. He is extremely subdued, almost embarrassed. Lucky steps from behind the door, and we cut to commercial. After the commercial, wow, I like that she did this. I'm sorry, we shouldn't be laughing at this because, yeah. Liz makes herself scarce, and Lucky steps outside to talk with his dad. Theirs is another heart-rendering exchange. Lucky taunts Luke with the news that Nick told him the truth. Liz hops off on the second floor to ask about Lucky's
I guess we're at the
whereabouts.
hospital.
I'm thinking we are at the hospital now.
We've changed location.
So I guess the next day, Liz is at the hospital and gets off at the second floor to ask Bobby about Lucky's whereabouts. She admits that Lucky gave her basic details about Luke and Laura's not so humble beginnings, and Bobby tries to not excuse the senior Spencers, but to ask for a little patience and acceptance. Lucky comes upon Luke and Stefan fighting. Lucky, enraged and stunned Luke, first to inquire to Mr. Cassadine's health, and then refusing to ride back to the mainland in the same boat with his father. And then Liz and Sarah are having dinner in a heart-to-heart, mostly about Nicholas. Bobby descends to the brownstone basement, and we just see her kind of like leave some money, and then as she's turning to leave, Lucky comes out of hiding. Bobby says that he is welcome to stay, and she agrees not to discuss Luke, but she would like to carefully approach that topic one last time. She reiterates that the rape happened to Laura and that she and Luke were able to work through it. Bobby counters, "When would you have liked to have known? When you were 6, 12?" Lucky says that he would have at least liked to have known before Nicholas did. That's kind of fair. And how for the last 2 years, all he heard Luke talk about was how Stavros raped Laura. That is absolutely a fair point, you know. Bobby interjects that Luke is not Stavros. Lucky agrees and adds, Cassadine wasn't a hypocrite. Bobby says that he has the right to be angry, but not spiteful. Lucky repeats that Luke should have owned up to it. He'd still be sick, but at least he wouldn't be a coward. Bobby drops the subject and extends her offer to have Lucky live at the brownstone, and he accepts.
Liz comes upon Lucky sitting at the water's edge. He's mourning the loss of his parents, or of the image he had of them. He can never forgive them now. Liz reminds him that his mother forgave his father, and maybe what happened so long ago has nothing to do with him. But it does, he insists. It's the reason I hate them. My dad did to my mother what that creep in the park did to you. Lucky cries. Liz tells him it's not the same. Why is Liz sticking up for Luke anyway? She says that the only side she's on is Lucky's side. Liz leaves and Helena comes strolling along. Lucky admits that he's been waiting for her. He wants to know, he wants to know why she broke into their house in Switzerland and stole his sister's stuffed toy, only to deposit it at their house in Port Charles. Lucky realizes that there are many things he does not understand about his family, things that even Nicholas Cassadine understands better than he himself does. Helena offers to explain it all to him over an elegant lunch on her yacht. Of course she does. Liz goes to see Luke. She admits that she's there for Lucky's sake. He helped her through the worst event of her life, and now she wants to help him. Luke tells her that he knows what Lucky told her. Is she afraid of him? Meaning Luke. Liz admits that her stomach is in knots. Luke assures her that he is no threat to her. Liz tells him that Lucky really needs his family now. Though he's angry, it's only because he's hurting so badly. And then later, Audrey comes downstairs, hears Sarah and Liz discussing the rape, and goes ballistic, telling Sarah to leave Lizzie's thoughts alone. Sarah, confused, explains that she's only trying to help. When Liz goes upstairs, Sarah puts everything together and directly asks if her Graham had had a similar experience to Elizabeth's. Audrey's silence confirms the answer, and Sarah's expression shows sympathy. Sarah expresses how sorry she is, and before leaving, says Elizabeth thinks her grandmother is ashamed of her. Audrey says no, but Sarah reiterates that Liz needs to know that and know why. After Sarah leaves, Elizabeth comes bounding downstairs to see her grandmother in tears. When Liz asks what's wrong, Audrey spills the story of how, while she was recovering from her first Steve Hardy heartbreak, she married Tom Baldwin. She noted how abusive he was, and more specifically, she told Liz of how he raped her by way of taking his conjugal rights. Ugh.
And I think that's, I don't feel like we really paid attention to that storyline either because, so many, especially back then, I still feel like it's considered possibly not as, quote, serious or believable, but marital rape is a thing. Like,
right.
So I think that was pretty powerful for them to also include that in an
Absolutely.
Audrey storyline, especially when she was married to him in the 60s, 70s.
Right, right. It's not like we're talking about forever ago.
Right.
So
Sorry.
Amy and Lucky, that's okay. Back at the hospital, Amy and Lucky are at the desk. Nick comes up and talks to Lucky. He apologizes for telling him about the rape. He suggests they continue not to like each other, but only based on themselves, not on their families. Luke comes into the brownstone with Bobby carrying groceries. He wants to buy the food. However, he's astonished when she gets him to pay and thanks her for the privilege. She laughs and explains it's an old hooker trick. Enter Thundercloud Lucky. What is he doing here? Luke wants him to come home. Lucky says no and adds that Luke doesn't understand that word. Woof.
Cool.
Lucky, yeah, Lucky tells about meeting Nicholas. Bobby overhears Lucky ask what kind of woman marries a rapist. He also says maybe Luke didn't tell Laura because he's still a coward. Bobby tells Lucky that if he can't live by her rules, to leave, and he does. At the Hardy house, Lucky startles Liz at the door. He tells her he's headed out of town, and she pleads with him to stay. Liz thinks Lucky is upset with her because she talked to his dad, but he was unaware. Why talk to my dad, he asks, and Liz admits to selfish reasons. She wanted to make things right for Lucky so he wouldn't leave town. She tells Lucky she knows he cares about his family. Don't pretend you don't care. I know that game. I invented that game. He wants to know if she would tell her rapist son to forgive his father. I don't give a damn about your father. He scares me. He was nice to me. That about sums it up. What matters to her is Lucky and losing his friendship. She wishes it were as easy for her to say goodbye as it is for Lucky to go. Lucky assures her she's misreading him. It isn't easier for me. Are you listening? Do you believe me? Liz tells him that if he must go, she wants to go with him. Meanwhile, Lucky is explaining to Liz why she can't go with him. Lucky says he's lived out of a duffel bag before, and Liz hasn't. She asked him what he thinks she's doing in Port Charles. It isn't her home. And she dares Lucky to tell her she needs to stay in Port Charles to heal. She tells him of trying to go to a rape survivor group, but turning back at the door. Yes, next time I might go inside, she whispers, but who am I going to want to talk to about it if you're gone? She admits she should feel bad about laying a guilt trip on him, but I'm too much of a brat to care. I should be nice and wish you luck, but what would I do tomorrow? Lucky is touched. Okay, I'll come up with a plan C. However, he cautions, I can't stay in your room like a pet hamster forever. He has an idea and starts to go. Liz talks him into leaving his bags at her place and asks him to be careful.
Lucky meets up with Helena on the docks. He thanks her for having treated him. Ooh, quick question.
Yes?
Is this the first time we saw Constance Towers as Helena?
Oh, I don't know.
Because she was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But when did she come back? Oh, hold on, real quick. Sorry. Taking a little mini 1997. So she would have come a little bit before this. When Nicholas arrived is about the time that we saw Constance Towers. So she is forever our Helena. I mean, Listen, we all know and love and appreciate that Elizabeth Taylor asked to be on General Hospital. And so therefore they created this character. And now it's Helena. But,
right.
So yes, she is Helena, but Constance is also Helena. Okay. He thanks her for having treated him to lunch the other day. Aren't you well brought up? She drawls. Yeah, I have good manners, Lucky counters in a subtle but telling distinction. This next scene between Helena and Lucky was cut, and this portion wasn't included in the episode. It was cut short on my source. Yeah, it was cut short on my source tape. Lucky proposes an alliance. He can open doors for her in Port Charles in return for the stories about his family and double minimum wage. So, minimum wage
What's up?
in 1998. Hold it. I'm going to go with $5.35.
No, I think it's $5.75. I think it was a little more than that.
Minimum wage in 1998. We'll do federal. $5.15.
Oh!
$5.15, everybody. $5. 5 period decimal 15. And it
So
was
Lucky,
in New York also.
so Lucky's excited making $10.30, which is still below what minimum wage. Well, I don't know what minimum wage is right now, but what anyone is agreeing to work for.
I think it's 7.25.
Is it?
7.25. Yeah.
I feel like it's been that for a long time then.
Well, that's the thing that's why I said 5.35, because I thought that it was 5.35 for a long time. But here, let's do a quick, because I think it jumped from the 5.15. I was just,
I think I made $5.35 at my first job. I didn't realize that I had it good.
I made $6 starting at McDonald's.
Wow.
I know. And we got free food.
I refused to work at McDonald's. But like every boy that I dated worked there. So
I wouldn't have my kids without it. So
at the same one. So
okay, so it increased to $5.85 an hour in 2007.
wow, that's crazy.
$6.55 an hour in 2008 and $7.25 an hour in July 2009. 15 years.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And there's your history of the minimum wage. But you know what? I do believe a server's minimum wage is still $2.83 an hour, and it probably has been forever.
Yeah.
At least that's what I got. Okay, anyway, back to the show. So Helena agrees because Lucky's a genius. And I mean, we just saw him go through thousands of dollars of debt with gambling, but he doesn't know your value. Know your value. Know your hourly rate. That sounds wrong.
I'm going to let everyone know that Shannon started this podcast off today by asking me if I got lucky, and now she's talking about know your hourly rate.
I asked if you got the lucky document about Lucky Spencer.
No, that is not what you said at first. You asked if I got lucky.
I got lucky. Yes, I did. Listen.
Oh.
Just going to leave it there. So the edits then pick up, and Helena realizes that relations must be strained between father and son for Lucky to make such an offer. Maybe he was willing to go discounted to get this information.
Maybe.
Because sometimes it's you make accommodations.
That's right.
So Luke Spencer is responsible for the deaths of her son and her husband, and she owes him a death. Lucky remains emotionless during her tirade, and she compliments him on his hiding his fear. Lucky thinks they should forget the whole thing. Au contraire, Helena warns to Spunky Lucky, to the Spunky Lunky. The Spunky Lucky. Why use that word? And tells him to report to work, to report for work tomorrow at 10 a.m. Back in Liz's bedroom, Liz is reading when Lucky taps at her window.
So what you didn't try to say some funky Lucky taps on her window.
She asks how his mysterious errand went. Fine, he responds. He won't have to leave town after all, but can he still crash in her room? Liz welcomes him. She hasn't been able to sleep since the attack, but knowing that he's around, she's sure she'll rest just fine. Lucky, wrapped in a blanket on the floor, gazes at Liz, fast asleep on her bed. Luke takes a call from Audrey and fishes for news of Lucky. The only thing she can tell Luke is that his son is being wonderful to help Elizabeth, is being a wonderful help to Elizabeth. Before hanging up, she compliments him on what a fine boy he and Laura have raised. When she leaves through the door, Lucky starts to head through the window when he gets caught by Sarah. She grills him. He begs her to not say anything as Audrey knocks on the door. She complies, and while Audrey was babbling old history, Lucky hid behind the door. And then it says Liz stands outside the conference room. So again, I think that we are back to the hospital, watching several other women enter. After getting some encouragement from another patron, she enters. Inside, Liz becomes increasingly uncomfortable with each person's shared experience. Tales of how their rape are still affecting them. She starts to flash back to her own and squirms at the anxieties the other women confess to having. As Gail tries a little pep talk, Liz looks doubtful. When Gail calls a break, Liz tells her that this form of counseling probably isn't for her. In the hospital corridor, Nick and Lucky had a quick run-in, albeit not an unfriendly one. Liz exits her session and gets a little paranoid that Nick would guess of her rape by where she was coming from, but Lucky reassured her otherwise. He asked her what the group was. When he asked her about the group, she told him she didn't belong there with the people who aren't getting well. Lucky comes on the scene and Helena realizes they know each other. Yes, you were just talking.
Right, what?
She just hired you. Okay. Mike beats a hasty exit. Oh,
Maybe
that'd have
she
been Ron
realizes.
Hill.
Maybe they're talking about Helena realizes she knows who Mike is.
Oh, or that Lucky and Mike know each other. Lucky comes on the scene,
there you go.
and Helena realizes that they know each other. Mike beats a hasty exit, and Helena asks Lucky who that was. Okay, if we had just read the next sentence, we would have figured it out. Lucky tells her Mike is Sonny's dad and Luke's friend, and when Helena wonders what he wanted, Lucky says Mike likes money and beautiful women. Helena takes Lucky to the yacht, Luke makes his escape, and Helena tells Lucky he has passed the test. However, she impales a loaf of bread with a knife to indicate what happens to people who don't pass the test. Luke has hastened to his listening devices and learns that Lucky told about Mike. At Windermere, Helena arrives with Lucky in tow, and Stefan half-heartedly offers them tea. Nick then asks to speak with Lucky alone, and they leave. Outside, Nick tells Lucky that Helena's a murderer. Man, Nick is just like spilling all the secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky asks why Nick's even concerned about what he does. Nick says it's for Lulu's sake.
Aww.
Lucky says what I know. Lucky says that what he does is his own business. His life is his own. Nick says that if Lucky works for Helena, that she will control his life.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky comes. So I guess we're back at Liz's. Lucky comes in through the window and wanted to know why Liz was still not attending classes. She showed him the rape counseling literature that had given her statistics and was weirded out by the idea that she might know her assaulter. Back in her room, Liz and Lucky went for a round of mutual appreciation, she for his support and he for allowing him to crash at her house. I'm guessing they may have gone for a walk based on this next sentence. Yeah, it doesn't say that they... So
yeah,
I'm assuming they're not... Yeah. Lucky and Liz appear talking about Liz's rape when they come upon Luke. Lucky pretends not to see him, telling Liz there's nothing here to show it happened. Oh, they must have been at the park. I checked, remember? He looks at Dad in a challenging way, almost daring Luke to speak to him. And Luke looks, as he often does these days, sadly resigned. Luke asks Lucky how things are going. The conversation's awkward. Luke tells Lucky that Laura has been calling, and Lucky guesses correctly that she doesn't know that he's left home. After Luke is gone, Lucky apologizes to Liz, who is concerned about him. He admits it's hard to see his dad, as he's reminded that I saw him wrong all those years. Liz thinks they should postpone their attempts to retrace her footsteps until after dark.
I will go. It's evening now, and Liz and Lucky are back in the park, revisiting the night of her rape. She's telling him what she saw, what she felt, hoping that will uncover some new details she didn't remember earlier. She sits on the bench, as before, and remembers thinking how peaceful and quiet the spot was, just before she was grabbed. Her description is intercepted with brief flashbacks to the rape episode. She gets increasingly agitated as she gets closer to the actual rape in her description, and Lucky tries to calm her down so that she can continue to recall the details. He stops her when she gets to the part about being thrown to the ground, and his eyes are filled with tears. We're not doing this right, he says as he hugs her. They cling to one another. Lucky says they should have a trained professional helping Liz relive the experience, someone who will know what to ask without hurting her so much. She says she wants to work through it with him instead, and that he was there when she spoke to the police, so he'll notice if she adds details. He points out that she is, like the part about seeing the sky and about the man taking her coat off her. They agree to keep trying. She remembers the rapist whispering something with his face close to her and his heavy breathing. She doesn't remember anything after that, beyond, "That's when he hurt me." She's blocked everything until he was gone, and she can't remember his words. She berates herself for not screaming when he took his hand from her mouth. Lucky says she mustn't do that. He goes on to say the man is responsible and that when he's caught, he'll make all kinds of excuses. If you buy into that, he's going to make you responsible, and you're not. He violated you. Liz begins to believe that herself, it seems. You're right, she tells Lucky. This isn't my fault. Liz thanks Lucky for being there to find her in the park. That's when I knew I wasn't going to die. Mr. Murdy is walking by them, exchanging a few words with them, and mentions that he lives nearby and often cuts through the park on his way home. Lucky rifles through Helena's furniture. She arrives, quizzes him about Tony and the Spencer reaction to his troubles. Luke, of course, is listening via a planted bug. Lucky gives her some vague opinions and talks about how sorry he feels for Lucas. His father has done an awful thing, and he just hopes they will tell Lucas the truth. Helena instructs Lucky to steal something from Luke's safe. Luke leaves his office so that Lucky can burglar it easily. Lucky comes in and stares at the safe. Lucky goes through the safe but takes nothing. He picks up some papers on Luke's desk and leaves. Luke realizes that Lucky opened the safe, but hears Lucky deliver a bunch of beer invoices to Helena, pretending that they were in the safe.
What had Tony done?
Wasn't this when he was getting involved with Carly?
He would have already been. Oh, Tony's write-up is horrible. Oh, it's bad.
Oh, wonderful.
It's okay. Have we done Tony yet?
No, I don't think.
Eventually, at some point, we should, whenever we're done with the Spencers.
Yeah. You mean in 20 years? Okay.
Sorry, Bobby.
Liz and Lucky are at Kelly's. Lucky asks Liz if Sarah has said anything to her about Lucky lately. No, why? He wants to know if she's worried about Lucky staying with Liz. Liz says if so, only that he's in Liz's room and not Sarah's. Lucky says Sarah practically tore his head off. Liz tells him she's probably annoyed that Lucky hasn't asked her out yet. Lucky says Sarah and he weren't meant to be. Liz is nervous about work, and Lucky says he'll walk her home afterwards. Lucky tells her again that the rape was not her fault. He remembers that night talking to Denny and Sarah obsessing over Nicholas, and then Lucky asking Chad about Liz. Lucky thinks it's his fault. If only he'd gone for Liz, they might have had a good time. Gone with Liz. Bobby comes in and Lucky won't tell her where he's staying. She's going to the trial. Whose trial?
What did Tony do? Hold it. Okay, we seriously have to find it. Would have been Tony's trial. What did Tony Jones do in the summer of 1998 on General Hospital? He's not an offensive tackle. Who did Tony kill? Did he kill anyone? Hold on. I'll go down to the crimes committed. Kidnapped Carly's son, March 6, 1998. That's when...
Oh, there you go.
Aha, ha, 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 ha. Okay. Kidnapped Robin Scorpio, and she was off her HIV meds for 3 days and got sick March 20th, 1998. So probably those two things.
Probably. I don't remember the Robin stuff, but okay.
I think that he kidnapped her because she was with Michael. Is that when Jason had Michael?
Oh, that would make sense.
Because she would have been, okay, yep.
We'll get there with that storyline, but yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Yep.
So, Bobby's going to the trial. She asks about Liz. Bobby suggests a support group. She goes to talk to Liz. She suggests Gail. Bobby tells Liz that Gail helped her. She made the appointment. Liz can always cancel. Sarah comes in and sits with Lucky and flirts with him. Lucky is aloof. Mr. Murdy comes in to talk to Sarah. She's been failing, I think that's supposed to say. Oh, she's been falling apart? Why has she been falling apart? Anyway.
I don't know.
I thought it was going to say failing, but falling apart, I guess, would be the same thing. So he wants her to stay after school till she gets her act together. He says, not another word, and Liz overhears it. It reminds her of the way her rapist said, not a word to her. Lucky snoops around a bit until he hears Helena's voice, and he makes a beeline for the couch. Helena has a job for him. She wants him to do a little breaking and entering at Dara Jensen's office. Elizabeth catches Lucky breaking into Dara's office.
All right. So I don't know.
We learned some new information there. At least they gave us an explanation for why Audrey was such a jerk, because when Liz was first like going through all this and so upset and Audrey was just kind of like get over it, it was like, oh my gosh, how can a grandma act like that towards her granddaughter?
Well, it's not just that. It's like I said during the recording and how they talk about her marital rape. It was the way that it was spoken about was, her seeming dismissive was probably more in line with that. You just don't talk about it.
Right.
Generation and everything. And, it's not that way anymore. It's not that way back in the 90s. I'm thankful that I forgot how some of this stuff was talked about.
Yeah.
And that it's changed. So it's not an easy subject. So, but I feel like they did a great job. I mean, it's still something that they talk about so much.
Yes.
So, all right. I guess join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review. And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.